What's up? What's going on, guys? It is your boy Rico here, aka RockStarrFX, back with another video. And today we're going to be talking about the 4 major market sessions, global market sessions, when it comes to trading Forex. And we're going to be answering a few questions like, which sessions are the most profitable? Where can I make the most money at? What times should I be trading throughout the day? And even questions like, what currency pairs should I be trading throughout these sessions? So if any of those things appeal to you, then sit back, relax, and as always, enjoy the show. Let's get it.
Just see those sleigh bells jingling, ring, tingle-tingling. I'm on it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you.
All right, so let's get straight into it, guys. Now, before we get into the good stuff and we talk about exactly how these market sessions move and which currency pairs should you probably be looking at during these sessions, I kind of want to break down the 4 sessions first, because I know that there are a lot of new traders that don't even know that the markets are broken down into 4 sessions, which obviously is pretty important to know. This is something that you would definitely want to be aware of. So let's break it down real quick. Let me go ahead and make myself smaller so that you guys can actually see the sessions. So here's how it looks, okay? Very simple. You have 4 sessions that run all throughout the world, all right? Now, these 4 sessions are based on the business hours that each of these, economies kind of run on. So for example, if we're talking about the New York session, I live in New York, so it works with me, right? But the New York session runs on US based business hours. So the New York session, as you guys see here, it's the blue one. It runs from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, we're looking over to the left. The London session runs on London business hours. Now, all of this whole example is based on Eastern Standard Time. So Eastern Standard Time, London is obviously waking up. Business hours is 3 a.m. okay, to 12 p.m. 3 a.m. to 12 p.m. So if we're doing the math on that, once again, London is 5 hours ahead of New York, right? So that would be 8 a.m. London time to, once again, 5 p.m. London time, okay? Tokyo session, the same exact thing. All right, so it's from 7 p.m. Eastern time all the way into 4 in the morning Eastern time. And Sydney session from 5 p.m. Eastern time all the way to 2 a.m. Eastern time. Now, as you guys can see, pretty much all of these markets tend to, at some point, overlap with each other. So the first thing I want you all to take note on is, while these markets are moving, okay, while they're doing their thing, whenever you typically have just one market open by itself, you're going to see a lot less movement in the market. It's going to be less volatile and not much is happening. Now, it's when these markets tend to cross paths and they overlap with each other, then what you're going to see is equal higher prices between each market, right? Which then is going to bring a higher price range, resulting in like greater opportunity for you to actually get into trades or even get setups going into the new market. So upon each new market open, each new market close, that's, it's a pretty good time to start getting on to get into, obviously the next market. So for example, if I were trading New York session, I would typically get on a little bit before New York to start getting my markups in, if that makes sense, right? So if I know New York starts at 8 a.m., I'm gonna get on a little bit before 8 a.m. so I can start doing my analysis, see what happened overnight during the London session, what kind of movements we're looking at, so I can make a prediction on what it is that we can expect going into the New York session when markets open up at 8 a.m. Now, another thing to take note of is the fact that, I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's too many people that actually trade the open of the Sydney session. So open up Sydney session is 5 p.m. As you guys know, 5 p.m. is when the actual markets close. So even though the Forex market is a 24-hour market, the rest of the world, business hours, whatever the case may be, it closes at that time. So if you're trading on MetaTrader 4 around that 5 p.m. mark, going into about 4:45 to 5 p.m., a little bit after 5, going into 6, the spread on MetaTrader 4 is going to be insane. I would not advise getting into any trades around this time, because if you do so, you are going to start so much more than negative, right? You guys already know, if you've been trading on MetaTrader 4, anytime you open up a new trade, you're starting a negative. But if you trade around this time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, you are going to start so much more in the negative than you would if you just waited into about, let's just say, Tokyo session, 7 p.m. Eastern time, where you get in and the spread is back to normal, market kind of corrected itself, and the spread is back to normal. The only real time you'll ever really see people open the markets or even begin to trade Sydney session is going to be on Sunday at 5 p.m. As a matter of fact, as I go through each session, I'm going to put a little bit of facts of each session right here on the screen that you all can take a look at. But the only time people really even open up Sydney session is Sunday when the markets open back up at 5 p.m. And that's because obviously you have a lot of traders, you have banks, institutions that get on because the markets are opening and they're pretty much taking a look at the market to see what's going to happen for the week. We have that long gap over the weekend. Markets closed at 5 p.m. Friday, closed all day Saturday, closed half of the day Sunday. So when they finally open up at 5 p.m., that is really the only time you're going to see people actually look at the markets for Sydney session. Now, right next to the Sydney session, you guys see Tokyo. Tokyo is actually one of my favorite sessions to trade. I usually trade Tokyo and New York, and I'm going to talk about why right after this. But I usually trade either Tokyo or New York session, but I absolutely love Tokyo session because with my lifestyle, obviously having a family, son, girl, so on and so forth, it's just not very easy for me to trade New York anymore, right? I used to love trading New York, but it's not as easy for me. So trading at night, after like 8 p.m., 9 p.m., when everyone's going to bed, getting on the charts, just sitting down and focusing up on my trades is a lot more convenient to me. But why I also like Tokyo session is because Tokyo session isn't very volatile. It doesn't move much. So this is really good for ranging traders. If you're a type of trader that likes to trade ranging markets, if you trade binary options, for example, where in binaries, we're not looking for big moves or big pushes in the market. All we need is just, 2 to 3 candlesticks to be correct. Then Tokyo session is actually really good for you because it's very predictable. You're going to see a lot of key zones hitting their mark, right, and getting straight to it. So it's going to be very easy to apply your support, your resistance. It's always going to come to these key zones. The trend lines, it's almost flawless for these kinds of strategies. If you trade off support resistance, it's flawless. It bounces up and down all the time. I love trading Tokyo session for that reason. Now, London session is one of the most volatile sessions. I think it is the most volatile session. Most people who trade London do it because of the very big moves that happen in the market when trading London session. So if you are a trader on like MetaTrader 4, for example, a lot of traders stay up during this time, as you guys see, 3 a.m., okay, going all the way up into the next day of, into New York session, 3 a.m., a lot of people stay up because there are such big moves that happens in the market during London session. Now, why is this? Well, it's more than likely because London is actually the trading central of the world. It's the trading capital of the world. A lot of people didn't know that. Most people, when they think of trading, they think of New York because they think of the New York Stock Exchange. But we're not talking about trading stocks. We're talking about trading Forex. In fact, if you guys haven't done so already, I uploaded a video yesterday about my differences, the reason why I chose Forex over stocks. So kind of like a stocks versus Forex kind of video. Make sure you go check that out. I'll put a link in the description for that as well. But we are trading Forex. So London, okay, the UK is like the trading capital for the financial markets. It equates for over 43% of all global trading. So yes, London plays a huge role in all financial markets. It plays a huge role in the trends of the financial markets as well as the fluctuation throughout all currency pairs because of the British Central Bank and the Bank of England, okay? These are just huge banks. So London session is actually very important. And then lastly, we have the New York session, which most people are familiar with, or at least New York it's New York, right? So New York is actually the second largest session right behind London. And the reason being is because most investors, most big traders, I'm not talking about the people like Rico and you guys watching this video, right? The big guys like the institutes aren't going to be watching this video. But most of these big people are trading in the New York session for multiple reasons. Here's one of the main one is because the US dollar is heavily involved with pretty much every major currency pair around the world, right? Every currency pair around the world is involved with the US dollar. So obviously, if you're looking at the New York session, you're going to see all of the big players. The big players are trading in this session. They're looking at this session. And once again, it's regular market hours for a lot of people, especially here in the US. So that is why a lot of people get into New York session. Now that you guys know the basic breakdown of each session and how they work, let's talk about my two favorite sessions, which is number 1, New York session, and number 2, Tokyo session, how I trade these two sessions. And then after that, we'll talk about the best currency pairs to trade throughout all the sessions. All right, so let's get it. So we're going to jump straight into it. We're going to talk about New York session first. So not only is it the first session of the day here in my time zone, but it's also one of my favorite sessions to actually trade. And the reason is because New York session moves pretty much identical, almost the same exact way every single day. You're going to see this type of movements in the market. It's not always going to be exactly to the T, but once you're trading enough, like we always say, the market moves in patterns. It does the same thing over and over and over again. All you have to do is get good at understanding the markets, right? And what it's going to do next, and that's where we make our money. Well, New York session is so predictable. I'm telling you guys, it moves like this almost every time. I'm going to give you a quick example. So write this down. I want you all to understand that the market moves in 3 phases, okay? 3 phases that the market moves in. So phase number 1 is consolidation, obviously, right? So consolidation is where we see these ranging markets, right? Support and resistance is pretty easy to identify. It's up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, typically you have big movements, right? You can have some big movements in consolidation, or you can have the little tiny, like, market's not moving at all. When it's not moving at all, obviously we don't want to get into those trades at all, right? At all. But when you're trading binary options, consolidation could be a nice little, ranging area for you to actually get into some good trades. So phase number 1 is consolidation. Phase number 2 is expansion. I don't know any traders that actually trade expansion. I just don't understand what would be the point of it, because there's no real prediction. What expansion is it's pretty much you have a lot of buy orders and sell orders being placed at the top and the bottom of the market, and pretty much markets is just trying to get people into their entries, spike them out, hit stop loss, so on and so forth, right? It's the way of tricking people out of their trades. So you got consolidation, you got expansion, and then lastly is the trend. A lot of people who trade, profitable traders, tend to trade the trend. If you guys have ever heard the trend is your friend, this is where it came from, because trend trading is just like probably the simplest way to trade. I mean, especially if you're trading MT4, you want to get these big movements in a specific direction. So if we're pairing this up with New York session, I'm going to break it down to you real quick, and hopefully you guys can see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So I'm going to keep this on the screen. All right. And like I said, it's not always going to be exactly to the T. It's not going to be to the T, but I want you to get the concept, get the idea of it, right? And hopefully we can be on the same page with that. So on my screen here, I actually marked up New York session for, I think this was yesterday, right? No, this was today. All right, so perfect. This is today. New York session for today. Today is Wednesday, okay? So very simple. This is the open of New York session. All right, we're not yet at 5 p.m., so time is still going. But the best times to trade in the New York session is typically going to be from opening to about 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here's why. You're going to see these 3 phases that we just finished speaking about right here. You're going to see these 3 phases happen exactly the way that it is on this picture. So typically coming into the New York session, we're leaving London session. Now, as we already talked about, London tends to have a lot of movement and is very volatile, right? So as we're coming in from London to New York, you're going to see a lot of areas of consolidation where it starts to slow down from these big moves, right? You're going to see this consolidation start to happen, okay? Now, so here's our consolidation zone, right? Consolidation, no big moves whatsoever, right? We already came from the big moves. So consolidation. Now, once we're done with the consolidation, we're going to come to the opening of the New York session. Now, we spoke about in the beginning of this video, the New York session is the second largest session, and there are a lot of big players that trade in the New York session. So, boom, bell hits, New York session opens. Now you have the big ballers getting into the market, right? So, with this being said, you're going to see a lot of volatility in the beginning of the New York session. So, what is this going to cause? Well, it's going to cause expansion, because now you have people that are setting their buy orders at the top and their sell orders at the bottom, waiting for the New York session to open to say, okay, cool, this is what's going to happen. Now, on top of that, a lot of the times during New York session, there's also major impact news that happens in the morning as well. So this impact news could take effect on the movement of this market. But for the most part, if there's no news, it's going to happen like this. So you got your consolidation, right? Then you get your expansion, waking people out at the top and the bottom of the market. You guys see that? Right? So now we got expansion. And then by about, I always say about a 9 a.m. to maybe 9:30. By that time, you should typically be able to tell which direction the market is going to be moving for the day. So once again, we're pulling up our chart. we went through our consolidation, right, towards the end of the London session, okay? New York session opens up right here. Now we got our expansion in the market. And then once again, around 9:30-ish, maybe going into 10, you should be able to give a prediction of the trend and where the market is going to be going pretty much for the day. So it moves like this all the time. So if you're trading MetaTrader 4, this is the perfect opportunities to figure out if you're placing these sells, if you're placing these buys, and if you're trading binary options, perfect opportunities once again, if we're placing calls or if we're placing puts and riding the trend down, just hitting call, or put to the downside, right? So this is how it looks, very simple. Now, hopefully this made sense to everybody. I'll explain it one more time. Coming out of London, we got some consolidation. New York opens up 8 a.m. Now, big players are getting in. People are waking up. We get that expanding market, right? And then around, what time is this right here? Look at that, 9:40. So this is exactly, like I said, between about 9:30, you should be able to tell, right? Going into 10 o'clock, you should be able to tell which direction. So just looking at this right here, all right, I'm gonna give you guys a quick quiz. I want you to answer in the comments, right? If you're watching up to this point, answer in the comments, what direction is the market moving right now? After this 9:40 point, which direction do we go in? Perfect. So if you answered down, right, we're moving into a downtrend, then you got it right. You can trade the New York session. All right. So very simple. As you guys see, this is clearly right after the big expansion. We start to move into a downtrend here in the New York session. So you guys see that perfectly, right? And that happens from about 9:40 all the way until 12:30-ish, where now, as you see, the market is once again starting to move into what? Consolidation. So this happens over and over and over again. So if you're the type of person that likes to trade the trend, if you want to have a nice, let's just say a nice point of entry, you don't have to get into too many trades. You know, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I do this a lot. You know, I'll play my Xbox and or I'll just find something to do around the house and I'll just ride a trend. I'll have my charts up and I'll just ride the trend. And I post it on Instagram for you to see as well. So if you're not already following me on IG, make sure you go hit that follow button. But I post it for you to see. But if you're the type of person that likes to just be relaxed, right, and just ride the trend, then hey, New York session might be perfect for you because it does this pretty much every single day. So that was New York session and pretty much how New York moves. Hopefully that all made sense and clarified just a little bit up for you. Like I said, I would recommend New York session for more of trend traders, people that are just a little bit more relaxed, like to get in and kind of just let it ride out. As you see, it moves almost flawlessly like this every single day. You cannot make this kind of stuff up. Now, my second favorite session to trade, I know most people like London session. I'm a binary options trader. So for anyone here that either, number one, you scalp in the market, so you're a scalper, or number two, you trade binary options, then Tokyo session is going to be your best friend. Here's why. Tokyo session is probably one of the slowest sessions ever, right? There's almost nothing happening in Tokyo session. I don't know why. I don't know the reason for it. It doesn't really matter to me. But I do know that there's not a lot of volatility. There's not a lot of liquidity. So we can get into these short-term reversals that, hey, it might not be reversing for a long period of time, but we can get into these short-term reversals. And hey, there is also points in times where you can catch these slower moving trends to either the upside or the downside. And because the markets are moving so slow, it is so easy to predict what is going to happen next. So let's jump into Tokyo. So scrolling back, as you can see, this is pretty much the same day, all right? Well, the night before, right? This is the night before in Tokyo session. Now, the first thing I want you all to notice about Tokyo session is we talked about how slow it moves, right? It's almost not moving at all. Look at these candlesticks over here. We can clearly see these candles, and we can see how big they are in the market, right? We come on over to Tokyo, and it's almost as if these candles are non-existent. You see how small they are, right? So whenever I trade Tokyo, I got to zoom in like crazy. We got to get in there. Like swimwear. All right, you got to zoom in because there's almost nothing happening at all, right? But once again, why it's so good is because, as I said in the beginning, it is very easy to plot these key levels of, you know, just like support and resistance in general. You're gonna see these bounces, and like I said, it's just, oh my god, it's almost flawless. It's just flawless. So if you're the type of person, you mark up your zones, and if you don't know about marking up zones and support and resistance yet, definitely get into that. I'll probably do a few videos here on YouTube about it, but just getting your key buying and selling zones. This is how I do it for binary options. All right, just very simple. All right, but you see here, all right, you see here, we see movement like this. Boom, boom, boom. You guys see that? So it's pretty much just bouncing off of these key levels over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. This is why I love Tokyo sessions. So if you are a scalper, if you're a scalper in the market, or if you trade binary options, then this is the perfect session for you, because obviously, you know, everyone has their strategy, but you see here, okay, it does this so often, so freaking often. And look, this is the slower moving trends I was talking about. The slower moving trends I was talking about, where you can get into these entry points. Look how, so flawless, bounces off the middle Bollinger Band, 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 all the way up into this nice ranging area, okay, where we can catch these reversals back to back to back to back. This is perfect for trading binary options or for scalping in the market. Once again, I know I keep saying it, but this just gets me so excited. And I think that's one of the main things I want everyone here to understand about trading, about the markets, is that when people say it's a skill, when they say it's something that you have to learn, it's true. Like, the fact that this happens over and over and over again every single day, I want you to think with me for a second. What if I just got good at trading one session? If I just mastered how to trade Tokyo, if I just mastered how to trade London, if I just mastered how to trade New York. There's so many traders out there that just get on at random times of the day, and they're inconsistent with their trading. What you have to do is you have to find what session you like the most, what session goes best with your strategy, and stick to it just like you stick to your job. You wake up every day and you know you got to be at work at point A from point B, right? Treat trading the same way. Treat it the same way. Know that I'm going to get on every single day. When I trade Tokyo, I know that I'm on by like 9-10 p.m. Right? Let's look at this. Where's this at? Right? So look, perfect. That's around the same time I'm always on, right here. Right? 9-10 p.m. I usually get off at around, I wouldn't trade past 2:30, because that's starting to overlap into London. Now look at this. We talked about the London session being super volatile. I want you to look at this. Look at this real quick. Now remember that first chart that we had up? Consolidation, expansion, trend, right? Or just big movements. Look at this. Look. Consolidation from Tokyo session, expansion coming into the London session, and then boom, London session just takes off to the freaking moon, right? I'm telling you, it happens over and over and over again. This thing is, oh man, this is flawless. This is flawless trading right here. And this is probably one of the best videos you'll ever see. If you made it this far into the video, I'm telling you right now, I swear I'm changing lives on this channel. I'm changing. This is free game on this channel. All y'all got to do is plug in and watch the videos all the way through. I'm telling you. Sometimes it might be boring, but look. We get into this bag, man. We get into this bag. 2021 is going to be an amazing year. I want you to drop one thing that you're grateful for in the comment section below. If all of you here are excited about 2021 and just mastering these markets, baby. Now, if you guys are wondering, as I promised, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put on the screen the best time to trade each currency pair. Screenshot it, take a picture of it, take notes real quick, and let me know what it was that you thought about this video. If this helped you out in any way, shape, or form, make sure you hit a thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, because listen, when I'm telling you, we're going to be pumping up content about content after content after content. We're going to create rock stars out of y'all on the charts. All right, so as always, guys, this is your boy Rico, aka Rockstar Effects. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, because we're dropping yet another video for you all to profit off of and start seeing results on the charts. And you know, thank you for even tuning into my content, man. We're so close to 20,000 subscribers, so let's go ahead and smack that this week, and we're gonna wrap it up from here, baby. So it's your boy Rockstar. I'm out. Peace.
Feel just like a rock star.